It was late November of 2018 when four friends, Trevor, Mia, Lucas, and Danielle, decided to spend a weekend camping deep in Colorado's Rocky Mountains. They wanted one last winter adventure before the heavy snow made the trails impossible to cross. They set up their tents near a frozen lake, miles away from the nearest ranger station. That night, they recorded a few fun clips on their GoPro, laughing, roasting marshmallows, and talking about ghost stories. Everything was normal until around 2:43 a.m. when the silence of the forest shattered. A single, high-pitched scream echoed through the mountains, long and sharp enough to freeze their blood. It wasn't an animal, at least not one they recognized. It sounded human, but distorted like someone crying for help through broken lungs. Terrified, the group stayed awake, whispering theories. Some thought it might have been a mountain lion or a lost hiker. But when they played back the GoPro audio later, what they heard made their stomachs drop. The scream hadn't come from one direction. There were multiple overlapping voices. One sounded like a man, one like a woman, and another was so deep and guttural it made the speakers distort. The voices echoed from all sides, moving closer with every second, circling the camp. Then, suddenly, everything stopped. The forest went dead silent. No wind, no birds, no sound at all, as if the world itself was holding its breath. When dawn broke, the friends found massive footprints around their tents. Barefoot, human-shaped, but nearly twice the size of a normal person's foot. The prints circled their camp and led toward the tree line, then vanished in the snow. Lucas showed the video to a nearby forest ranger, who studied it carefully before warning them not to talk about what they'd heard. 2 weeks later, that same ranger resigned without notice, leaving behind his radio, his badge, and a single note that read, "It's not an animal." In the fall of 2019, a 29-year-old solo camper named Ethan Miller set out on a weekend trip deep into the remote wilderness of Wyoming's Bridger, Teton National Forest. Ethan was an experienced outdoorsman and YouTuber who often uploaded relaxing ASMR-style camping videos. The sound of rain, crackling fires, and nature's stillness. On his last upload, he seemed calm, cheerful even, narrating softly as he set up his tent, made coffee, and prepared to sleep under the stars. His camera, mounted near the entrance of the tent, captured everything in high quality. Around 3:17 a.m., however, the footage took a chilling turn. Viewers could hear the faint rustle of leaves outside, followed by a whisper so soft it almost blended with the wind. "You're not supposed to be here." At first, Ethan seemed to think it was the wind. He groaned, shifted in his sleeping bag, and mumbled something half awake. But the whisper came again, closer this time, and clearer. It was calm, low, and disturbingly articulate, like someone kneeling right beside the tent wall. "You're not supposed to be here." Ethan shot upright, breathing fast. His flashlight flicked on, and the camera caught the inside of the tent shaking slightly, like someone brushed against it from the outside. The zipper started to move on its own, sliding slowly downward, an inch at a time. Ethan froze, his breathing audible on the recording, his voice trembling as he whispered, "Who's there?" The zipper stopped halfway. Silence. Then came a third whisper, softer than the first, "Go back to sleep." That was the last moment Ethan's camera recorded before it shut off suddenly, mid-frame. When a search party found his campsite 3 days later, the tent was torn open from the inside. His backpack, cooking gear, and even his phone were still there, but Ethan was gone. About 10 feet away, half buried in the dirt, rescuers found the small camcorder, still intact and with enough battery to replay the footage. Rangers who viewed it reportedly refused to discuss what they saw. The official report listed Ethan as missing, presumed dead. But locals still say that on windless nights, near that same patch of forest, if you set up camp alone, you might hear a whisper telling you the exact same thing Ethan heard that night. It was supposed to be just another late night camping vlog for a group of teenagers from Seattle, Washington. The group, Ryan, Kyle, Brooke, and Haley, had driven up to a secluded patch of forest near Mount Rainier National Park to film a spooky overnight challenge for TikTok. Their plan was simple: tell ghost stories, film reactions, and camp until sunrise. Everything started out fun and lighthearted. They laughed, roasted marshmallows, and took turns daring each other to walk deeper into the trees. Around midnight, the air suddenly grew colder. Brooke pointed her camera toward the woods, saying, "Do you guys feel that?" Seconds later, Ryan's flashlight began to flicker violently, like it was short-circuiting, before the beam turned upward, pointing directly into the treetops, as if something invisible had grabbed it. The group started to panic. Ryan swore he wasn't touching the light, his hands visibly shaking in the footage. Kyle moved closer to help him, but as he reached out, the flashlight suddenly snapped off. For a few seconds, the video was pure black, until the faint red glow of their campfire revealed something tall moving between the trees. It wasn't running. It wasn't even walking normally. It glided, just slowly enough to be human, but too smoothly to be natural. The teens screamed and bolted toward their car, the camera bouncing violently in Brooke's hand. In the chaos, Ryan tripped, dropping his phone. The video continued recording as it spun on the ground, facing the tree line. For a split second before it cut out, the camera caught a pale face peering from the darkness, eyes glowing faint white. Its lips curled into a twisted, unnatural smile. When authorities later found Ryan wandering along a service road at dawn, he was barefoot, covered in dirt, and speaking in a low, monotone voice, repeating the same words over and over. "It's still there. It's still there." He had no memory of running, no memory of what happened after his fall. The footage was handed to local rangers, but within days, it was removed from social media entirely. No explanation was given, just silence. Some people who downloaded the video before it vanished claim that if you slow the last frame down, you can see two sets of glowing eyes, one above the other, watching from behind the tree, as if something was standing on the shoulders of something else. Whatever they saw that night wasn't human, and it didn't want them to leave. In the summer of 2021, a small rescue team was sent deep into the Alaskan wilderness, following reports of missing hikers who hadn't returned from a weekend trip. The team expected to find a simple case of people lost in the woods, but what they discovered was far from ordinary. After hiking nearly 9 miles off the main trail, they stumbled upon what looked like an abandoned campsite. There were 3 tents, half collapsed, flapping lightly in the wind, a campfire pit cold but recently used, plates of food still laid out, untouched, as if everyone had just walked away mid-meal. One of the rescuers noted that the area was unnaturally silent, not even the sound of birds or insects. Then they began to notice stranger details: claw-like marks etched into the tents, a torn jacket near the trees, and a trail of deep footprints leading toward the lake, footprints that seemed to start in the middle of the campsite but had no origin. While searching the area, one of the team members, a man named Jacob Reed, found a mud-stained camcorder lying face down near the fire pit. It was old but still functional, so they brought it back to their cabin that night to review the footage. What they saw made every person in the room go pale. The video began normally. The missing campers laughing, drinking, talking about how isolated they were. Around midnight, one of them mentioned hearing branches cracking behind their tents. The camera turned, catching the darkness between the trees. 2 faint points of light appeared, not flashlights, but glowing reflections like eyes. Moments later, something enormous moved through the frame, briefly blocking the firelight. It had a humanoid shape, but hunched forward, its breathing heavy enough to distort the microphone. The campers screamed. The camera shook, and then everything went to static. When the footage resumed, the angle was lower, as if the camcorder had fallen onto the ground. The last clear image before the battery died showed the campfire burning down to embers. For just a moment, a reflection appeared in the lens. A tall, skeletal figure, motionless, its face obscured, but its chest rising and falling with each heavy breath. The rescue team turned the camcorder off and agreed never to discuss what they'd seen. The official report listed the case as unresolved disappearance. But locals who live near the region whisper about that campsite to this day. They say the forest there feels wrong, that the trees lean inward like they're listening, and that sometimes, when the mist rolls off the lake, you can still hear the sound of heavy breathing coming from the dark. So, after hearing these 6 encounters, one thing becomes painfully clear. The woods aren't as empty as we like to believe. Every camera that captured something it shouldn't have, every voice that whispered when no one was there, every shadow that moved just outside the firelight, they all point to the same terrifying truth. Something out there is watching us. Maybe it's ancient. Maybe it's something that's always been there, hiding between the trees, waiting for the moment we let our guard down. Whatever it is, it doesn't care about our rules, our logic, or our cameras. It moves when it wants. It sees who it wants. And when it decides you've seen too much, it follows. So the next time you're camping under the stars and you hear footsteps circling your tent, don't unzip it. Don't call out. Just remember these stories and pray that whatever's out there doesn't remember you.
If you liked this video, don't forget to hit that like button, share it with your friends, and drop your thoughts in the comments below. Most importantly, subscribe and hit the bell icon so the next secret finds you first.